So, before the break, we were talking about natural law transgressions, or in other words, actions that are not within our natural law rights to take because they result in harm to other living beings. There are four major natural law transgressions, okay? And they are murder, rape, theft, and trespass, okay? Murder, the taking of another's life when one has no warrant to do so, okay? Rape is the violation under coercion of another person's sexuality, which one does not have a right to do under any circumstances. Okay? Theft is the taking of goods that one does not have the right to take from other people. Of the actual just stealing of resources. Okay? And trespass is basically taking security away from someone in their own lair that is obviously where they live and work and thrive and sleep, etc. So it's the ingress into another person's lair without their consent in a place that they've clearly set up as theirs. So someone's home, you don't have a right to go in unless you're invited in. You don't have a right to take things from their home, which would be theft. You don't have a right to sexually engage in any sexual relations with someone unless it's consensual. That would be rape. And you don't have a right to attempt to take the life of another person or actually do so. That's murder. Every one of these boils down to one basic, overarching, fundamental transgression, and that is theft. If you think about it, every one of these things is taking something that you do not have the right to take. Murder is the taking of life that you do not have a right to take. Rape is the taking of someone's sexual energies and sexual boundaries that you do not have a right to take. Theft is the taking of someone else's goods or property. And trespass is the taking of someone else's security in their own space. Okay? So ultimately, all natural law, just like sovereignty, is based upon ownership. It's all based upon ownership. And all transgressions of it are based upon taking something that you do not own. You don't own someone else's rights. You don't own someone else's life. You don't own someone else's sexuality. You don't own someone else's goods. You don't own someone else's space that they are using and happen to be in. It's all theft. Ultimately, every wrong that we commit in some way, shape, or form is a theft. If you sit down and truly philosophically think about it, this is common sense. And it's quite simple. It's not complex. It's not unknowable. These are what our rights are not. If our rights do not fall into these things, we have a right to engage in that activity. And no one has a right to stop us from engaging in that activity. So again, trying to stop someone from engaging in things that don't fall under these categories of theft in different forms, one does not have a right to take. That would be taking someone's rights. So stopping someone from speaking is taking their rights. Stopping free assembly is taking someone's rights away. Trying to take someone's freedom away and turn them into slaves through corporate personhood and other mind control measures is not someone's right to do so. They're in the wrong by engaging in that activity. Protecting criminals from engaging in their criminal behavior is not within our rights, because other people are engaging in theft and murder, and then they're being protected by other people. You don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to help people to continue these natural law transgressions and then try to stop other people from bringing them to justice. That's not a right. And this is what police and military do every day. And then attempt to set up situations and circumstances where they block us from engaging in our rights of assembly and speech, etc. No one has a right to do that, nor can anyone be granted that right. See, that's another part of natural law. You can never grant things that are not rights to anyone else. If you don't have something, you can't give it to someone else. I want to read this next quote, and I'm going to wrap this up. When I come back in 2 weeks, I'm going to explore in depth this gentleman's essay and some quotes, responses written about that essay by some other individuals. Okay? His name is Aquinas. This is not the philosopher Thomas Aquinas. This is simply an internet handle by a person who was posting on some forums, and I happened to find this essay, which I thought was one of the most brilliant, concise explanations of natural law I've ever seen or read. I'd love to have him on the show. If anybody knows who it was, they could put him in touch with me and I'd bring him on as a guest. But he made this statement about why we're losing, why freedom is dying. And here it is. I call this the fall of the republic. Okay? Because choice is subsequent to a judgment upon the truth of the matter presented, it is an immutably true principle. I have a slight typo there. It should say, it is an immutably true principle that human liberty depends entirely upon judgments which conform to natural law. If a judgment which does not conform to natural law, which is therefore objectively false and immoral, is acted upon by the will, then it becomes a source of grave disorder in society. Exponentially multiply these numbers of individual immoral acts, and you have a republic that collapses from moral decay in a short period of time. That is why we are going into bondage as a people. Because too many people are choosing the wrong over the right, thinking they have some magical right to do so, and then teaching these values to their young, who then go out and multiply these numbers of individual immoral choices and acts. And therefore, a quantum effect is created. Chaos always results as a result of that disorder and chaos, as Aquinas so eloquently put it. And therefore, we are going deeper and deeper and deeper into chaos and enslavement, because we have a society that is based on moral relativism. Aquinas concludes his essay by saying, true liberty is an essential property of objective truth and morality. Therefore, there can be no true liberty in a civilization that enshrines moral relativity. And in 2 weeks, we'll be exploring that essay in depth right here on this show for probably the entire show. I apologize that I did not get a chance to take any calls today on the show, but I think the information that is presented here really needs to be distilled, broken down as much as possible, and then gone over again by everyone who listens to this show. Get it out there to people. This is the most occulted knowledge that the occultists, the dark occultists who own this place currently, want to keep hidden. And we need to get it out there to people. I'll be back in 2 weeks, folks. I want to thank everyone for listening to this edition of What on Earth is Happening. We'll be analyzing Aquinas' essay on natural law and human liberty in 2 weeks here on What on Earth is Happening. Until then, I'm Mark Passio. You've been listening to What on Earth is Happening here on the Oracle Broadcasting Network. Stick around. Chris Everhart is up next.